It is something that touches the pulse of the whole economy when prices start going up at the pumps. But have we seen that recently? We've seen some spike at the pumps in terms of prices of petroleum products. Well, it appears there is some pressure on the Ghana cedi as well. And so are we in for that continuous spike in prices of petroleum products? And what about some concerns in the industry that going forward needs to be addressed now? On PM Express Business Edition, we turn the lights on the petroleum sector as you look at the recent spike in prices and what are some of the concerns in the industry that needs to be addressed right now. Well, indeed, from the perspective of those who consume, analyze, and look at the industry issues, Duncan Amoah is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Also, via Zoom was the Chairman of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, that is Gabriel Kumi, a player himself, getting his thoughts on all the varied issues in the industry. And to be right back after this break. This is PM Express Business Edition. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about prices of petroleum products and some development in the industry that you should care about as a consumer. And if you've seen the trend over the past 2 weeks or a month, we've seen a sudden spike in prices of petroleum products. And are we seeing a sudden change in trend in terms of that marginal reductions that we're seeing over the past weeks? What is causing this? When you read the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, their industry report, you get the impression that fuel prices, finished petroleum products are going up on the international market, and the cedi is now maybe dancing some small pan logo, and that's why we're seeing that pressure. But how's the outlook? And we'll be engaging the chairman of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies and Duncan Amoah in here, who's with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. But Duncan, before I get to the chairman of the AMOC, I just want to, I have seen some interesting development. We have reported on this space for quite a while. And now we are being told, and I was trying to get from Mr. Kumi, the pricing dynamics, I find it very interesting what is happening right now. We are being told competition, but competition will not pay the taxes for you. Competition is not going to pay the bills for you. What is the real reason behind some of these oil marketing companies who are not doing their prices?
Okay, so George, this is what happens with their pricing as far as what I have studied with them, what I know. So they have a leeway to play within their margins. So when you say price is deregulated, it does not mean that there's no regulation at all with the price itself. A lot of what you have on the price build-up is cast in stone. You can't do anything about it. Particularly the taxes, the levies, the margins, you can't do anything about it. It's what government says you should apply. So it's cast in stone. You can't do anything. Where you can stay either competitive or price out of competition is how much of the margin you would decide to want to go for. And then again, this is also an industry that deals with forwards. And then again, those who are also willing to pay cash. If I'm doing credit, it is likely
different price.
Yeah, you price me differently. If somebody has cash and says that, look, I'm paying for this is what I have. Chances are that the BDC may negotiate favorably. And if I'm paying, after a certain credit period, chances are that I would also be, priced differently. So in times past, it's still not past. A couple of the OMCs could afford to price the big three, big four, big five, those big players, those who have the market share, 13%, 17%, 12%. Some of the other companies could afford to outmatch them on pricing because, look, maybe I am doing about 5 million liters the entire month, right, across board. and I have the money to be able to buy my 5 million, I'll get a better price than you would. But previously, most Ghanaians felt that if you go and the price here is lower, it means that the product is not good.
Yeah.
There was that fear.
Yeah.
But truth be told, some of the companies are just able to work smart, and for which reason they are able to deliver much more efficient prices. Some of the bigger ones would, of course, have larger overheads, would have larger, margins or markups that they would want to recover. Because mind you, the bigger ones usually will have shareholders in quotes,
Yeah.
who are sitting somewhere waiting pretty for either the accounting year to end, and then they come for dividends. But the smaller ones, not smaller, usually the 1 man, 2 people type of OMCs, whatever they realize at the end of the year is good money for them. It's okay. But if you have the likes of, Goil, Shell, who have principals that are waiting for returns, they cannot afford to do certain prices, because at the end of the year, they will need to justify the numbers that they publish, their audited financials, right? Why they made a loss here or they made a profit here. They will need to justify. But if I own an OMC, right, and I'm able to recover or cover my overheads, the possibility of me looking to minimize my profit and get whatever little I can and probably reinvest, to be able to get a lot more of the market share, I'll do that. So initially, that whole conception or that whole thought that some are pricing a bit lower, for which the NPA at some point had to step in with this, floor pricing, because they felt people were undercutting the market. Some of them could afford to be efficient, in the way they were structured. Others necessarily had to also price a little higher because clearly their overheads and whatever they expect to give to their principals is also cast in stone. But the question of whether, as we speak, it's competition that has let prices remain. My finding right now is to the extent that, of course, the CD has been on and off.
Yeah.
And so you would find a certain window, a 2-week period, that the CD is relatively stable. Then at a certain period again, the CD gains. Then the next time you hear, the CD has lost some value. In fact, for today, I can put on record, whilst at the office with a few people, we kept trying to source for dollars from the open market. And you'll be surprised the rates that kept coming within a 1-hour period. And I think that whatever the task force did yesterday is also having a negative impact. Maybe they need to review that carefully, whether to indeed go swooping in on these guys that provide the market with the Forex, right? Or there should be a more, friendly way of approaching them. Because what we heard yesterday is that some of them have been arrested, their money seeking, and all of that. So today, you'll be surprised. As of the morning, we were getting about 12.3 on the market.
Black market? Or?
The normal, okay. When we say the open market.
Okay.
Because
so you're saying it had an impact on the rates?
It had a very dire impact. It has had a very dire impact. Look, as of the morning, 12.3 was the figure that came. Yesterday was 12.3 on the open market. Interbank rates are usually lower. But for some of the business people, you go to the bank says they don't have the dollar. So you may need to source it from the open market. From the 12.3, it came to 12.45, 12.6, 12.7. As of the time we were leaving, they were quoting 12.95 just within a few hours.
So that soup actually had an impact.
It's had an impact. I'm sure in the coming days you will report on it. Those who probably still have the dollar are probably unwilling to sell because they think it's a setup or something. And those who may even want to sell are a few relative to when you could just trigger, a demand and the market responds. Some are unwilling to trade at this point, right? And so the few who would want to trade would need to cash in. So look at the jump within a day, from 12.3 averages on the open market, you are ending up about 12.85, 12.95, 60 pesos. This will have a tail-in if it is not halted at some point. If the BOG does not intervene, right? It's done a very good job throughout the year. The managers of your economy have done quite a tremendous job. But there's a danger from today. If they don't intervene properly, right, and this trend continues, and then tomorrow you wake up, it's 13, right, 13.2, 13.5, the fuels market will respond. Because mind you, we've been auctioning dollar to the market, the BOG intervention years back. We used to do about 80 million, 120, 160, 200 at some point. Then it declines to 40, 50, 60. Which means that the entire petroleum market, that would need about 400 USD million, right? If you're able to provide even 100, it means that 300 will have to be sourced in and around, both interbank and the open market. If the open market behaves the way it is doing, George, they may not be able to hold prices further. It is not, a desirable outcome. It is not something we would all want to have. But whatever the intention of that action, the swoop yesterday, I think that they need to review and see the effect it is having on Forex trading in Ghana.
On the market.
Because once there's a negative effect, you are simply asking those whose liabilities are due. If somebody brought cargo and would have to get a dollar to pay for within the next week or two, right? And the rates are jumping the way they are doing, you are simply telling them to look at the price of the stock they have in order to be able to cover for whatever differences that is arising.
I'll come back to you about this whole dynamic, but let me bring in the chairman of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Mr. Gabriel Kumi, who is also a chief executive as well of an LPG firm as well. But let me speak to you as a chairman of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. I asked myself, your members for that Christmas, because it looks like they don't want to go up. Why are they not reviewing prices at the pumps for the first window for this month?
Thank you very much, George, and good evening to my brother Duncan. Good evening to your cherished listeners. I think you should be applauding us for not going up.
I agree. Let's applaud them for this one.
Towards the end of the month, all the indicators were pointing towards an upward adjustment of petroleum prices. But fortunately, the plug price came down at the beginning, just right at the beginning of the window, first, second, third. And now members responded almost immediately by not going up, because once you have seen a downward indication, it's appropriate that you try and see how best we can cushion Dankanamwa and his consumers. So we decided that we won't go up. And the second reason why we didn't also go up was the fact that there was a lot of product available in town. The stock in the country were very high. And when you have such a large stock, you expect that the BDCs will be competing very fiercely for market. And that really ended up also pushing the price we are getting the product from the BDCs was also pushed a little bit low because of that fierce competition. So these factors combined is what has really, and of course, we have also seen some relative stability of the city. It's not been too good over the past 1 week, 2 weeks, but relatively it's been very, very stable. And these are the factors that really drive up the price of the product. So once we are having some favorable indicators, then there is the need for us to stay put. And like you rightly said, Christmas is coming. There's a lot of movement around. We are also very concerned about our consumers. So if there's something that we can do for Ghanaians to have a better Christmas, petroleum prices virtually affects everything. So once you keep pushing up the price of petroleum product, you expect that it can also affect Christmas negatively. So it's more or less a combination of all these factors that has really pushed down the prices. And going forward, we are also looking at crude oil price continues to drop. And the effect of a drop in crude oil price.
Mr. Kumi, and that's why I do this rude intervention. I mean, the beauty about this industry is about how the dynamics could change. Just like some would say, London weather in 1 minute is cold and another minute is warm. If I should hold all these variables constant, next week should kickstart the second pricing window, that is from the 16th of December, a few days to Christmas. How are things looking like for the second pricing window if I should hold all these variables constant in terms of pricing at the pumps?
Yes, fortunately, Ghanaians are going to have a very good Christmas in terms of petroleum prices, because already the indication is that the finished petroleum products price is going down. Diesel has seen about 10% decrease. Petrol has already seen about 6% decrease. LPG is seeing some 1.5% decrease. So if the city is held in check, then we can be sure that coming 16th of December, prices of petroleum products generally are going to go down. And that will take us through the Christmas. So going into the second window, which happens to be the window which Christmas falls, we are likely to see some decrease in the price of petroleum products.
Mr. Kumi, in all of these things, I know you have shareholders. I know some of your members have gone for bank credits and all the rest. How are you guys surviving? There's an argument about competition and all those things, where sometimes you can even go up by just a password. There have been instances where your members have not gone. How are you guys managing the situation? Because if I'm a shareholder of Trinity, I'm looking for the benefits, the dividend payment.
Yeah.
How are you managing, coupled with the tax payment, coupled with the bank credit, coupled with dealing with the shareholders, and coupled with consumers who just want low prices at the pumps?
Yes, I think Duncan did a good job on that. For the competition, you can't do away with that. I mean, we have more than 200 oil marketing companies competing for a very limited space. So the competition will continue to be keen. And then once you have such a keen competition, players normally fall on price as a tool to be able to have a competitive edge. And that is what we are seeing. But one thing is also that, like Duncan rightly said, once you have once you are able to do certain volumes, you are also able to negotiate with the BDCs and get a relatively lower price. So once I'm able to get a lower price, at the end of the day, I'll pass some of these on to the consumer at the pump. So, and of course, availability of the product on the Ghanaian market also plays a very key role. Once you have stocks on the market, the BDCs are competing to push the stock out. And that's also culminate into some discount being given to our members. And Like I said, we also try to pass some of these discounts onto our consumers. So that is what it is now. Like I said, competition there's nothing you can do about that. It's keen and it will continue to be keen. And at the end of the day, it's good for the consumer.
Let me get your thought, Mr. Kumi, on product availability as we speak right now. Do I get from you? I bring this availability issue, i.e., and I'll bring in the Lacan issue as well. Have we made some significant progress on the product availability, the stocks, or it is still a challenge, George?
It's on and off. You know, in some windows you have a lot of products in the country, and on some other windows you have less. But I'm talking about currently what is happening. Currently we have a lot of products in the market, and that is good for the consumer. With the Lacan issues, I mean, those are another area that we may have to go into in some other time. But currently, there's a lot of products on the market, and for me, that is good because we are in December. Consumption of petroleum products are very high, and once you have products available, it makes life easy for all of us.
I know you don't want to talk about the Lacan, but I'm just saying that, are we making progress on it? Because for some of your members, it's a huge concern for them.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's something that, in fact, it's the Lacan issues affects mostly the BDCs. You know, they are the guys taxed to bring the products into the country, and we go to lift the products from them. So they have been having a lot of challenges with Lacan, but I think they are in talks with MPA, and they are somehow resolving the issues, even though there are a lot of issues to be resolved. But I think gradually things are being resolved gradually.
We always, consumers are pushing for very low prices, but again, there are issues about taxes, and I know we'll bring up the issue about LPG and taxes as well. In terms of regulation, i.e. the fiscal space as well, and sometimes how some will say officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority are on your neck of your members, even in good standing. What do you think can be done in this space when it comes to the taxation and regulations to also help you guys give up your best in terms of offering those very, very competitive prices at the pump? Because there's someone saying that we still have a lot to do in the area of regulation and even the area of taxes for your members.
Yes, in the I'll take the regulation area. I mean, there's a lot to be done. MPA is doing a lot, but there is a lot more to be done. As Chamber, we had a press conference about 2 months ago on the first half of the year report. And there were a lot of issues that we raised. And we have had some assurances from both the MPA and the ministry that these issues are going to be resolved. We are watching very keenly. We have started putting together the full year report. By end of December, we will have a full year report so that we can have a proper interrogations of some of the figures in those reports. But as a chamber, we will not relent. We are going to make sure that we ensure that the regulator does the right things to ensure that the industry is well regulated, and then members also play by the rules. I mean, we want to ensure that we have a level playing field for all members. We still have issues of dumping, issues of third party, issues of some OMCs with some few outlets who are doing some volumes which are not, which you can't even imagine. These are all issues that continue to linger, and I'm sure the MPA and the ministry are dealing with it, and we will encourage them to deal with those issues, because for us, those are issues that negatively affect our members, and these activities are being done by just 2-3% of us, and we will not allow just these few OMCs to as it were, pour the soup for all of us.
Zakumi, I did find that, I found that press conference very, very interesting, but I'll be coming back more to those concerns that you raised. But I don't know whether this question is more well placed for the BDCs, but in terms of, for those your members who are exposed to foreign exchange or dollars, how has the supply been for them when it comes to transacting or transactions to get the products? Do you still have adequate supply, or it is a challenge?
Again, like you rightly said, this falls right in the bosom of the BDCs. Of course, we also do some international businesses, and we also use dollars. We also source for dollars, but it's a challenge. Like Duncan rightly said. Coincidentally, this morning, I was also looking for some dollars in the morning. I was given certain codes. By the time I put my CD together in the space of about 3-4 hours, it has shot up by about 14 pesos. So that is obviously a challenge that needs to be looked at.
I'll come back to you on those industry concerns. But again, he's confirmed your issue about the FX. It is quite serious, because if all these indicators are trending down and we see a sudden spike in the exchange rate, that could actually wipe away all these things.
Well, you see, George, for some of us, consider it as uninformed, whatever we say.
I don't think so.
Perhaps.
He is confirmed. He's a businessman. He's a CEO of an LPG company, an oil marketing company.
True.
And he said it.
The truth is, the city was doing well till this recent intervention. It was stable. You could have predicted what you are getting in the next, 2-3 days. But as it stands, there's a spike. And I am reporting this firsthand, probably to the BOG, to the handlers of the economy, that they would need to take a second look at it. I don't know what informed the swoops, whether the moral suasion bit wouldn't have been better than using brute force, because at the end of the day, if you're able to get these guys to probably go under a certain license, and BOG would have the...
Maybe the timing itself. The action is good, but maybe the timing itself was
could have timed this probably a little more appropriately than we have. The other thing I had wanted to find my brother Gabi's thoughts on, which I was prompting you, some of their members that I get to interact with, recently you are discussing the OSP issue all over the place. Is it having a toll on some of them? I would be interested to hear that, either on record or off record. But again, they've been very good as a body for the entire year, the oil marketing companies and the BDCs especially. Because there have been windows like this very one, that every indication was pointing upwards. The trend should have gone up. They're able to stay priced.
But he explained that there were things that sudden, the Platts and all the rest, because these are businessmen.
You see, the Platts
is a businessman.
The Platts bit, I was explaining before we came that sometimes, the price wars would also inform whether they go up or they don't. Indeed, for the other smaller OMCs, I wouldn't want to call them smaller, but the OMCs that are not commanding that much of a market share. The price wars are fierce. In fact, for a lot of them that I know, even the price they give you in Tetegu, right, will differ from the price they give you at, let's say, Circle. Because close to their station at Tetegu, there's a competitor there that is delivering low prices, where the Trotro guys are all trooping to, and it's, delivering volumes. And so the price bit has been fierce with them this year. And I think that we should encourage them to even do more for 2026. The managers of the economy, again, I give thumbs up to, because we have not seen the city that badly, previously, you could not predict anything. But until today, like I said, the city had been relatively stable. Even when it loses ground, it is not so huge.
+1,
yes.
-1.
And so that has contributed to where fuel pricing is. But George, the truth again, I have said this and I maintain, the cedi almost always, or the dollar almost always moves towards a liter in Ghana. And so what we have currently, for which today I can confirm, most of the market is delivering about 12.6 for petrol, and then about 13.2 for diesel. And then the differentiated product, around 95, 14.9, 14.6, thereabouts. The dollar is trading around 12.3, 12.6. So get it. We are simply moving towards that unspoken rule, the 1 liter, $1 bit. Although, do not forget also that within this given year, the government has slotted into your fuel price build-up a certain 1 Ghana cedi levy that you and I pay for. So if you took that one off, overall, the OMCs have done an excellent job. The BDCs have done a much more excellent job, right? But the question of sustainability as to whether going into 2026, they will be able to still hold all of us down the way they have done 2025. My answer will be a mixed one. And I think that I'll be happy to also hear from Gabi what their outlook should be like for 2026. But where we sit, right, you have Platts being very okay, crude prices being very okay. When Russia rejected the peace deal with Ukraine, prices surged, 24 hours up. And then after a while, it came down again, meaning that the glut is still there. Global supplies still very healthy. And so the numbers are not looking threatening. But as to whether we'll be able to sustain the city's good run of form as we've done for this year in 2026, I'll be interested in to hear what their outlooks say to all of us for 2026. But beyond that, you are also talking of the laycan.
Yeah.
The laycan for some of the players that I do interact with.
BDCs, yeah.
Yes, the BDCs and the OMCs. In fact, I take aim with the OMCs usually because that's the point I get my fuel from, and most of us go to. The BDCs are like a second layer. You don't even see them.
Yeah.
They complain, some of the OMCs complain, that if they don't have the laycan to bring their own products, what it means is that they have to buy from the open market. Buying from the open market means I'm already paying for the premium that you charge. So when I add my margins, I go so way up. I'll be interested again to hear from Gabi what explains the vast difference of over 2 Ghana cedis per liter in the RON 95 product and the normal RON 91, which is about 12.3, 12.6, and then RON 95, 14.95 for some of the OM. I think that there's something missing somewhere. That one I'll be interested to hear from him exactly why that huge disparity. Because what I know, the difference should have been a little, if you want the 95, probably 50 pesos, 1 Ghana cedi should have been enough. We've exceeded 2 Ghana cedi. Is this still the laycan problem? I understand that the ministry has done quite some work to resolve the laycan issues. But sometimes, like we say, there's some problem still persistent. Whatever it is, we want to be able to hear what exactly accounts for this 2 Ghana cedi disparity between your regular petrol and then the 95, the differentiated.
Still on the CD issue, what should Bank of Ghana do? Because one of the things that they also have to work on, market sentiment and all the rest. If you look at their reserves right now, ending October, $11.4 billion. Even the projections is that they could end the year with more than $12 billion. They have enough in their reserves. What should they do? Because it is not healthy in terms of what is happening, which Mr. Kumi has also confirmed. What should the Bank of Ghana be doing right now to try and manage the market sentiment when it comes to
George, if they
rates?
are listening to us this evening,
Which I think they are.
My first caution to them would be to have a fallback plan on the swoops that have been done. I don't think you should just go in there, and distort a certain market that seem to work, whether you ascribe legality or illegality. But once you go in there, you should expect a certain pushback from these merchants that obviously would supply to the open market, because the banks regularly would decline Forex supply unless you're a good customer or you have that kind of rapport with them. Mostly, they tell you there's no dollar. But the open black market usually will give you the dollar. Once we decide to swoop in, I think that we should have been a bit careful to appreciate what the pushback would be. And the pushback is what we are seeing today. I would be happy to see the Bank of Ghana respond by tomorrow morning, ensuring that there's dollar availability, at least there's Forex availability, so that they can stabilize the market. Because if you go disrupting the other side, insisting that Gabi and all of us who do some form of, trading or importation should stick with the legal channels, right? Don't forget that they supply a certain quantum to your market. So if you take them off, then you must be prepared to make available that quantum that they would have ordinarily, that space. You should be able to fill that space. If that is not done tomorrow, close of weekend, I really fear for where this Forex thing is going to go, because today I shouted. Maybe if Gabi had been mindful to check this evening, you'll be surprised the kind of rates he will be hearing around. But it doesn't look too comforting. They've done extremely well for the year. Whatever necessitated their going in to do what they have done, I think that the fallback plan should kick in by tomorrow morning. Otherwise, what we wanted today to buy, I couldn't get the dollar I needed today. I'm sure Gabi has not been able to buy his dollar. So it means that
let me ask
all be piling.
Mr. Kumi, have you been able to get your FX that you're looking for?
No, not yet.
But are you worried? I mean, again, from this sudden development, is that a concern for you and some of your members as well?
Should be.
Obviously, that should be a great concern, not to our members alone, but to the whole country. Because, like I did indicate, once the cedi begins to depreciate, you can then expect that price of petroleum products will eventually go up. So putting the price of petroleum product at bay, put the rates of the cedi to the dollar in check really helps all of us. Because at the end of the day, we have a cost to cover. And how if the cedi depreciates, what it simply means is that we need more cedis to buy the same quantity. And once that happens, you expect the price of the product to go up. So it's in our own interest. Like Duncan said, this year they have done well. Let's face it. Keeping the cedi under 13, 12, at the point it's always been 10. It's been good, but more work needs to be done to make it more stable. And for us, once the cedi, the factor that really almost immediately affects the price of petroleum price is the cedi. Once the cedi depreciates, you can expect that the next window prices are going to go up. I mean, with international price of crude oil and finished product, those ones we don't have any control. So we only have to go by what's available to us. But we have control over our own currency, and we need to do more to stabilize the cedi. Once the cedi is stabilized, we are able to really plan into the future.
Mr. Kumi, earlier on, Mr. Duncan was trying to throw in a question to you about the pricing disparity between the V-Power and all those things buying on the market. I don't know whether if you want to retrieve that question, but I thought it was a very interesting one that he wanted some education from your end, Mr. Kumi.
Yeah. I mean, he was talking about the RON 95 and the RON 91. The RON 95 is a more expensive product because it's a premium product, and it does not move as fast at the pump as the RON 91. So obviously you are going to incur some additional cost in terms of storing the products at your outlets. If let's say it takes a week to sell RON 91, let's say one truck of RON 91, it may take maybe a month to sell 95. I'm just using those as an example. So obviously there's, apart from the fact that it's a premium product, whose cost is higher than the RON 91, you also have to incur additional costs in your attempt to sell some of these products, and that is what really accounts for the difference. But since Duncan is saying the difference is too much, we'll see. We'll see what.
Please, see to that for us.
Mr. Kumi, let's come to the argument about the level playing field, because I was really surprised at the Chamber's press conference that you held, even though it's not every OMC out there that might be a member of your association. But you raised some serious concerns about regulation in the industry and what is happening. I mean, have we made any progress on that, on those serious issues that you highlighted about what some OMCs were doing, undercutting and all? I found that press conference very interesting.
That's right. Yes, we've made some inroads. We have met with the MPA. We have met at the ministry. The minister tasked MPA to come up with a report, and they are working seriously at that. The minister has promised that he's going to ensure, through MPA, he's going to ensure that those issues are resolved. But we will not relent. Those are issues, like I said, about 97% of our members are doing the right things. So we will not sit and allow few of our members to throw all of us under the bus. We are not going to do that. Sometimes when you raise this issue, the response you get is, but they are your own members. And what I also throw back is that the laws of Ghana were made for Ghanaians. Does it mean when a Ghanaian offends the law of Ghana, he's made to go scot-free because he's a Ghanaian? We believe that is not the way to go. We don't care who that company is, whoever it is, whoever they are, they should be brought to book, and there should be discipline in the industry. And going into 2026, I can assure you, the chamber is going to fight very, 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 very hard to ensure that we achieve some level of discipline in the industry.
Duncan again asked another question, which I'll throw to you again, about the outlook for prices going into 2026. I mean, how are things looking like? Or still, it's quite unstable, still quite unpredictable? Or
well, if we are able to get the outlook for the cedi stability in terms of the cedi dollar rate, then we can also make some strong projections. Because the depreciation or appreciation of the cedi immediately kicks in to either decrease or increase price of the product. So we are hoping that international price will be quite relatively stable. So the next thing is, are we going to keep our cedi stable? Once the cedi is stable, I can assure you that, but we are also going to ensure that we keep price of petroleum products very, very low.
Let's look at taxes and some products. And I know one area that is of so much of interest to you is the LPG and the application of taxes and how it's doing and all the rest. Do you think that this is something that sometimes government doesn't want us to talk about, or it's a no-no area because they need revenue to run the economy? Do you still think that there's a case to be made about the application of taxes on some products, especially when it comes to LPG?
There's even a stronger case to be made. And George, you know our position on taxes on the LPG. With the greatest of respect, we believe it doesn't make sense to put even a single tax on the LPG, because this is products government has set an objective to increase its consumption. So you can't push us one step forward and then pull us 2 steps backwards. So the taxes on the LPG, again, that is one area that we are also going to look at. If government really want to achieve the increment in consumption of LPG that is talked about, then taxes of LPG must go, because about 95% of the reason why we are not able to increase consumption of LPG in this country as we should is because of the fact that the product price is just too high. Look, we started consuming LPG with La Côte d'Ivoire. Now La Côte d'Ivoire is consuming twice as Ghana is consuming. We are of about the same population. If you go to Senegal, Senegal is doing about 150% of what Ghana is doing. So there is a need for us to make cautious effort to ensure that the price of LPG comes down so that the ordinary Ghanaian can buy the product. The consumption of LPG in Ghana this year has seen, as at the end of third quarter, has seen about 11% increase.
Wow.
And two reasons account for this. If you take between 2020 to 2024, we grew by less than 1% on the average between 2020 and 2024. But this year, we have done 11% as at the end of third quarter. And I can safely project that by end of this year, we are going to grow the consumption of LPG by about 14-15%. And two reasons account for this. One is the clarity that the current administration has brought to bear on the policy of cylinder recirculation vis-a-vis the existing model. Now, it is very clear, and MP has made it very clear that, look, the two systems are going to run side by side. So players are now able to concentrate on business and to grow their businesses. And which, with all honesty, is the most, with the greatest of respect, is the most sensible thing to do. Because if you have an entrenched system that has been there for over 30 years, per your CRM, you are not introducing an industry. You are just trying to apply a new strategy to an existing industry. So it's the need for you to be very cautious in the way you introduce it. George, we were here in Ghana in the mid-90s. We were used to space and communication centers. When mobile phones started coming in, nobody told the communication center guys to pack their phone booths and their telephones and their fax machines and go and throw them away. Nobody did that. But gradually the two were allowed to exist. I'm sure even now, if you want to set up a communication center, you should be able to set it up, provided it makes economic sense to you. So we are happy that now our members have the freedom, at least, to grow their business, to concentrate on their businesses and to grow their businesses. The second reason is the fact that price of LPG has been kept relatively low this year. Last year, we were doing an average of about between 15-16 cedis per kilo. This year, we are doing around 13 cedis per kilo. And that has also contributed in no small way into making sure that people are able to buy much more than they used to buy last year. And that clearly confirms the argument we have been making, that once you bring the product price low, you are more likely to attract more consumers. And I think that is the way to go. So government should show commitment to increasing LPG consumption if they really, really, really mean the target we have set for this country to increase consumption to 50% penetration level by 2030, then they should take off all taxes from LPG. If they do not, then I won't take, with the greatest of respect, I will not take government serious. If you still keep the taxes on the LPG and at the same time trying to tell Ghanaians that they want to increase consumption, I will not take it through. Either you take it off so that the ordinary Ghanaian, we are now paying quite close to about 18% taxes on LPG, which is unheard of, which is one of the highest in Africa and one of the highest in the world.
Mr. Kumi, I'll come back to you. We've spoken about the price, but what about the industries or the outlook? I mean, let me get your thoughts on regulation as well. MPA, there are some who are still saying that, well, they made some progress, but they can do better as well.
The issue of Lakan, clearly. We want to run away from sometimes the obvious, but I think I was just showing you one of the bigger players still doesn't get the Lakan to bring their own products.
Wow, that's interesting.
And so once we say that we are fixing problems, we shouldn't have these issues, creeping up every now and then. I think that we should be genuine. We should be sincere in our efforts to want to move that industry forward. And in moving forward, you should leave. I've seen the Lakan plan for the last quarter. I personally would have left a lot of spaces in there for, cargoes that do come in every now and then. And people who may not equally have planned could leave them 1 or 2, 3. But when you have very serious players, as of today, still insist that the Lakan is still an issue to them, then I think that, Mr. Minister, look at it again, because once they are taking demurrage so much, like you said, they are not for the Christmas. They would need
somebody has to pay for.
Somebody has to pay, and we are paying for all of that and the lapses. Again, you are talking of taxes. It's not only on LPG. There are taxes on, the liquid fuels equally.
Yeah.
One will be wondering, now that we're done with 2026 budget already, is there any hope? But the good news is that we may be exiting an IMF program
in May
soon.
All other things being equal.
So all other things being equal, the only caution we would sound to government is that we'll come back to ask for reduction in taxes. The tax levels are still very high. Things have gone down, prices have gone down, but as it stands, you cannot say they've gone down that drastically. Some Ghanaians would have expected that around this time fuel will be 10 cedis or even 9 cedis or something, due to how good the government has performed for the year. But prices are still high. Diesel is above 13, around 95, almost 15 Ghana cedis. Petrol above 12 Ghana cedis. It tells you that we've done well. We are not out of the woods yet. Then you ask Gabi a critical question of reserves. Again, we have stock, but these are trading stocks. We don't have reserves as we speak. And so anytime that the trade stocks should run and we see international markets probably go bullish, we are doomed. I keep saying this. A country that refuses to plan, you live at the behest of the weather, you live at the behest of international markets, you live at the behest of geopolitical movements. We witnessed Iran, Israel in the course of the year, and we saw how fluid the situation became. The moment there's any geopolitical pressure and you don't have a strategic stock as a country, you probably are overexposed. Again, this week in question, I have also raised issues with the finance ministry not to go to sleep on the Tema oil refinery. We may want to discuss.
I'll come back to you on Tor issue. I'll plead with you. We want to hold your breath there. This is PM Express Business Edition. Mr. Kumi, hold on. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. This is PM Express Business Edition. As you look at rising fuel prices and also some industry concerns, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about rising fuel prices and industry issues. How can we deal with all these concerns? Engaging the chairman of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Gabriel Kumi, and also the executive secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, that is Duncan. I mean, Duncan, you were making a quick issue about the stocks, and I came in then. You also raised the toll issue. I mean, what has happened to Centio? Are they still down or they are back now? What happened?
George, what I can confirm is that at least they have some crude.
Yeah.
It's good to have Centio, it's good to have toll. You need your petroleum security up there. If the two of them together can even do 60% of the Ghanaian market, our demand, net demand, it would have meant that our import bill would be lower. But you see, we are not planning with them, and we are not helping them. So to us, business as usual is very okay. It's rather okay for us to use 400 million USD to import finished product every month, as opposed to helping these two refineries, helping the other smaller refineries, so that you can be self-sufficient. At the end of the day, Centio has had its own challenges. I'm sure it came in believing that, it was going to be able to get a revolving cargo. It had, people promising that it will do A, B, C. But this is a country where when you get stuck as a business person, ask Gabi, you are stuck. The banks are afraid to come in with any serious funding, even when you have enough assets to demonstrate, because they believe you should be able to demonstrate, a cash flow or a certain return that guarantees or warrants them. And then again, you also don't have the kind of banks in Ghana that would have a single obligor limit exceeding 100 million. And so when you have some of those big tickets, they'll have to do a syndication in order to be able to even help rescue. Cargo, as we speak, if you need to buy a $40 million cargo, right? One will not be enough. So you need 2, 3, or even 4. So that as you are processing this, there's another one that is discharging, right? There's another one that is also, queuing to, probably bring you cargo. Unfortunately, we are not planning for Temoyo Refinery, I'm afraid.
What's the latest? I thought they were making some progress on getting back.
The young man is working. The management is working.
Any idea when they are going to start?
As far as I know, I won't be surprised if the plant even, gets operational today. They are ready.
But
right?
Where are they going to get products from?
The first thing I knew was they were getting some product. They were co-sharing cargo with Centio. It's good. But trust me, until finance ministry get in there to give them that latitude they need, to give them that space, to give them the financial muscle to say that, look, your books on its own cannot probably guarantee you any healthy thing from the banks, right? But I'm going to put in a revolving fund, right? That allows you to bring in cargo, say, every month. So that if you brought in something that you should be able to process in 20, 30 days, by the time you are done processing this cargo, there's another cargo ready that has been discharged that you are probably continuing. As it stands, if the finance ministry does not get in there, we are simply setting the young man and his team up to fail. And we'll come back to blame them. We are setting them up to fail because, George, if he finishes processing cargo 1, right, and there's nothing coming in, right, you are telling him to shut the plant down again. And once you turn on, you turn off, that is money down the drain. You go in. And so I think that we need to have these discussions and look in the finance minister's face and tell him, Mr. Finance Minister, it is one of petroleum security that is something we all need. TOR would need retooling, really. A desulfurizer is important because you would not want to see TOR putting on the market 1,500 ppm, ratio. The diesel, the sulfur content count.
Yeah.
If it is so high, the BDCs are doing 10 and 50 ppm, which is cleaner. If TOR can be helped to get a desulfurizer, it means that their product will meet the European spec that the BDCs are bringing in. I'm not sure it will be in their interest to still go and look for logistics to bring cargo from Europe, right? So there need to be some investment in there. And I am using your platform advisedly to tell the finance minister to consider the refining space in Ghana. It's very critical. You may get to a point where Europe is not able to supply you what you want. You may get to a point where the Middle East has too many of the conflicts because Israel is clearly not done, resolving their issues with the neighbors. And so anything can happen, but if something should happen, your refinery space should be ready and available so that your national economic life does not grind to a halt. As we speak, BOST is not keeping strategic stock, for which we set that out to do. Look at BOST also, right? And position them favorably. Position TOR favorably. When you position these two entities, you are simply telling us, the consumers, to go to sleep, and that in case of emergency, ICE, we are safe. There's nothing to worry about. If we woke up to a spike, on the international market, you can fall on BOST to at least, release products to the market. If you woke up to some supply disruption and your refinery space is working, Centro is working, I am not only speaking for TOR. Help the private guys. There's a Kwaba refinery that is struggling equally.
Oh, they are also into refining petroleum products?
Yes, there are two other modular refineries, Akwaba and Platon, right? They have smaller capacities. But if you make them a part of your national strategy, you are simply saying if you can do 5,000, you can do 2,000, that's 7,000. If we are doing about 80, 90,000 daily, and TOR can do 45,000, Centro can do another 30,000, that's 70,000. By the time you put your national refining space together, you are 80, 90,000. What that means is that even if you don't import finished cargo, the crude that you get to bring in can be converted to what George and I would need to be able to move our...
Let me bring in Mr. Kumi as you try and wrap up on it. Mr. Kumi, you talked about how tough you'll be next year. I mean, what has it influenced that? And then going into next year as well, what should we be expecting from the oil marketing companies in terms of the outlook, not prices here, but other development as well that you wish it could be done right to aid and support your members as we all push for a very, very competitive pricing out there?
Let me quickly add to what Duncan has said about getting TOR and Central operational. I think apart from all the good things Duncan has said, ultimately, it also makes the products much more affordable for the consumer. Once you have your local refineries working at full capacity. And like he rightly said, TOR is known for its trotro business for far too long. It's about time we find some money and get that refinery in full operation. They go and buy one crude oil, and after refining that, it takes another 6 months to bring another one in. And that is why TOR has continued to be what it is today. Like you said, the young man who has been appointed to TOR is working very, very, very hard, but he needs support. If we are not ready to really invest in TOR and make sure that they have crude oil to refine at any given time, then there's no need to even start the machines at all. With any one cargo and shut everything down, and everything goes back to the drawing. It's just important that we get that one. We can't continue to rely on import. Where we are now, by now we should have been refining more than enough, and should even be talking export, not import. So it's very, very, very critical. Apart from all the strategic reasons why we should get those refineries running, it's also eventually will ensure that the price of petroleum product comes down so low, so that at least it gives some relief to the ordinary Ghanaian. Going into 2026, George, you know, you have been chasing me to talk for a very, very long time. And I've been avoiding you because I was learning. You know, this role was handed over to me early part of the year. And, you know, I am an LPG specialist. So
And a firebrand as well.
I have to take time to really learn the whole industry. And I think gradually, even though I'm not there yet, but I think gradually with the support of some very, very good people in the industry, you know, my vice is Philip Tieku, and he's another smart guy in the industry. He's very knowledgeable. I have people like Kankam of Vivo. I have a lady from Total, very wonderful lady, and they've really supported me very, very, very well. Now, I think I've learned more than enough to be able to really support the chamber to assert ourselves in the industry and to make sure that the right things are done. It's going to be tough, but we will ensure that we get there. And like I said, as players and as businessmen who have invested so heavily in the industry, our goal is to ensure that we sell as much products to the consumer so that we can also see some returns on our investments. So we are going to, whatever needs to be done to ensure that the price of the products comes down so that at least the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian, will have some comfort and will buy the product with ease so that at the end of the day, we can make the needed turnover to be able to see some returns on our investment. We are ready to do that.
I know Mr. Kumi has finished learning, so now he'll be more accessible for us going into 2026. But maybe just in 30 seconds or so, I know we might be a little bit far away, but maybe your closing year message to your members, and even going into next year as well in 30 seconds, Chairman.
Yes, let me wish all our members Merry Christmas in advance. It has been a relatively good year for us because we've had, you know, the whole industry, everything boils down to pricing. And we've had some relatively stable pricing throughout the year. We are hoping that government will be able to keep the almighty dollar in check next year so that we can have a more stable atmosphere to plan. And we want to assure our members that we are going to be there for them. The chamber is going to work very, very hard. For those of us who are doing the wrong things, we want to advise them to desist from those things that are tarnishing the image of the chamber and shortchanging Ghanaians, shortchanging consumers, and shortchanging even government.
Okay.
We are going to be after them and make sure that they are exposed so that the needed revenue that is expected to come to government will come to government.
Okay.
The needed product that is supposed to go to the consumer will also buy the product at the right price.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kumi. Time. Gabriel, in 30 seconds, your final words, in about 30 seconds. Final words. Time is not outside here.
Government should plan for the energy industry, particularly the petroleum downstream. It's been a good year. BOG and the managers of our economy have done a good job, but there's still more to be done, and we will be happy to.
Indeed, there's still more to be done. That's how we draw the curtains down in PM Express Business Edition. I know the debate will still go on in your homes and your offices about how best can we keep prices low and keep the industry strong. My name is George Afe, engaging Gabriel Kumi, is chairman of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, and that is Duncan Amoah, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Have a great day. This has been PM Express Business Edition.